So a new era dawns on Forest as Sean Dyche is momentarily about to be the new Forest manager. Welcome to the stream where we will discuss all the details and bring you up to date. I hope you guys are doing well. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you are new here. And let's get into the details, right? So a few things have changed since. Well, let me give you the details, then we'll have a discussion between us guys and girls and kind of see where everything is, right? So it was put out by Romano a little while back, about 30 minutes ago, and he said Sean Dyche set to sign contract until June 2027, so a 2-year deal at Forest. Verbal agreement in place between parties with former Everton manager ready to return to the Premier League. So that's what Romano has had to say about it. Now, Forest was still trying to get Marco Silva, but it's come out that Marco Silva is reluctant to move mid-season. If it was a post-season thing or an end-of-season thing, then he's fine to do it. But outside of that, he doesn't want to move. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. And apparently it would have cost about 13 million pounds to get him in. Now, I made my feelings clear on Sean Dyche on my video last night. Yes, it was an instant reaction, but I stand by what I said. Sean Dyche isn't the manager that I want, and I'll explain why. Firstly, this is an admission, and the club have admitted they are in a relegation battle. This is what they don't even need to say it. The appointment in itself says that. Secondly, we were told in the summer Forest are to progress on, to knock on forward. Nuno was told to change the style to a more possession-based team, to a more aggressive team, because we got found out from March onwards under the system Nuno was playing. Then Nuno did what he did, and I have no problems with him being sacked. And then Forest went to the nth degree and went with Ange Postecoglou in terms of highline for life and everything else. And now what have they done? They've just reset it back to not Nuno, because Nuno is 100 times a better manager than Sean Dyche. He's reset it back to probably, I think Cooper's better than Sean Dyche, if I'm honest with you, but to that style of football. And everyone's telling me, well, he gets the results and everything. I'm not coming here to say Sean Dyche is going to lose every game. Sean Dyche will win games, but this is the point. This isn't what this season is meant to be about. Let's win a couple of games, finish 17th, and call it a day. Maybe call it a day now, because Forest is still in Europe. In fact, his first game in charge is going to be against Porto. Like, what's the plan there? Do we just toss Europa out the window? Like, what are we saying? Simon, I haven't been listening to Everton Mike. I've been listening to myself, to what I've seen of Sean Dyche and everything else. That's what I've been listening to. And okay, you wanna do the Everton thing. Okay, let's do the Everton thing. Here you go. Here's some stats for you. Sean Dyche in the last season at Everton, the 24-25 season, played 17 games in the Premier League, won 2, draw 7s, and lost 8. Points per game, 0.76. That's Sean Dyche. Goals scored per game, 0.85. Goals conceded per game, 1.3. Okay, so tell me in those stats, why should I be excited about Sean Dyche coming in? Why should I be excited about Sean Dyche? Look at his stats from Everton in his first season there. Okay, so should we look at Postecoglou's stats from his first season at Spurs, or should we look at his last season at Spurs, which he carried into the Forest form? No wins in 9. This is the thing. Look, I got nothing against Sean Dyche, and I actually agree with the argument that it will settle the fan base down. Steve Stone, Ian Wone, you guys know how much I love Ian Wone with his goals against Spurs and the Thunderbolt against Newcastle and everything else that comes with it. My point here is more about the club than Sean Dyche, because the club have sold us this BS in the summer about the direction Forest are going to go. And 8 games into the season, we have gone from second favourites or third favourites to winning the Europa League to now being, yeah, we're in a relegation battle. Let's break the glass in case of an emergency. Here's where we are. So this is the thing. And Stephen, I agree with you. 50 years of supporting Forest and we've become a joke. And the ownership needs to come into question of it. And yes, I agree, Paul. I agree. I've defended alongside An Edu. I still think this transfer window. And by the way, let's not forget that Forest are claiming they're in a relegation battle after spending over 220 million this summer. That's one hell of an amount of money to spend to be in a relegation battle. Like, explain that. Explain that one for me. I'm sure who are the teams below us? West Ham, they spent 220 million. Have Burnley spent 220 million? It's a joke, to say the least. Forest should be nowhere near the bottom of the table. Yes, Marinakis made the mistake with Ange. He corrected it by sacking it. And now it's the case of Forest is just going to get 16th, because I think the highest place he's finished outside that magical season that everyone tells me about with Burnley is 16th in the Premier League or whatever it is. At least you have 30% chance. There's a 0% chance of Forest getting relegated. That's the thing. And what else does Sean Dyche bring to the party? Well, let's talk about a couple of things. Sean Dyche has been out of a job since he got sacked halfway through the season by Everton. He's not been linked to a single club since then. Sean Dyche isn't even the first choice for Forest. It's quite clear that Forest wanted Marco Silva, but couldn't get it done mid-season. And on top of that, they still, while Sean Dyche is sitting there waiting, happy, for Make-A-Wish Foundation Forest to come and make his dreams come true, we still then looked at Mancini. So doesn't that tell you in itself that the club are reluctant to go with Sean Dyche? That's the whole point I'm making here. He's not their first choice, as in the club's first choice. He's you're 18th, 0% chance. Okay, are Bournemouth in a title race then? Whoever you ask, Salford boy. Are Bournemouth in a title race? Answer that question. Let's see how stupid you sound. Let's look at his managerial record, because it ain't even great. He's managed at Watford, he's managed at Burnley, he's managed at Everton. At Watford, he played 49 games, won 17, drew 17, and lost 15, 34% win percentage. At Burnley, he played 425 games, 149 wins, 118 draws, 158 losses, 35 win percentage. At Everton, 84 games, 26 wins, 26 draws, 32 defeats, a win percentage of 30.95. Okay, so that's where we are with Sean Dyche. So let's just roll on that he wins 30% of his games. That brings us to the mid-30s in terms of the total. Cool, fantastic. Now, everyone's like, oh, you got to get behind Sean Dyche. I am behind Sean Dyche. It doesn't mean I have to have an opinion that is, oh, Sean Dyche in, oh, Sean Dyche is the man. I can still critique what the club are doing, because this is not the right direction for Forest. This is just saying that we're admitting to be, and I'll show you an article in a second that literally does do that. In fact, let's go into the article and I'll show you. So, Forest close to appointing Sean Dyche as head coach is closer than close right now. Former Forest youth player who never played for Forest poised to replace Ange Postecoglou. Marco Silva, Roberto Mancini also considered for the role. Forest close to appointing Sean Dyche as their third head coach of the season. The former Everton manager is poised to replace Ange Postecoglou, who is sacked. We know that. Marinakis wanted to reunite with Marco Silva, with whom he had had a working relation. He had worked with at Olympiacos, but Silva's reluctance to leave Fulham during the season and his 13 million release clause made the move difficult. The former Man City head coach, Roberto Mancini, was also under consideration and was spoken to by Forest, but Dyche became the focus, which basically means, well, Mancini said, no, I'm good. Dyche has been out of work since being sacked by Everton in January, where he was in charge for 2 years. His availability and the absence of compensation make the completion of a deal smoother. Forest are keen for Dyche to be in the dugout for Thursdays. Oh, he's going to play in Europa. The 54-year-old was a youth player for Forest, but never made a first-team appearance because he was crap. He has lived in the area for a long period and is a regular visitor to matches. The Forest legends Ian Wone and Steve Stone have been key members of Dyche's backroom staff at Burnley and Everton, and it would be popular if they returned. Yeah, I got no problem with Woney and Stoney coming back. I just don't bring me Dyche with it. Here it is, though. There is an acceptance at Forest that they are in a relegation battle. They sit 18th with 5 points from 8 games after losing 3-0 to Chelsea on Saturday in Postecoglou's final game. Dyche has a reputation for getting teams out of trouble and will need to rebuild the defense that worked so well under Nuno Espirito Santo. He was sacked in September. Okay, so that's the article. Big up to Curtis. Because I don't understand the loser mentality in our fan base that wants Sean Dyche. It's embarrassing. Marinakis has lost my conviction and I have lost the blind trust in his choices. I said relegation battle, laugh my ass off. Big up to you with the $10, Curtis. And I do, look, I half agree and I half don't agree. If you guys or whoever's a Forest fan thinks Forest are in a relegation battle, fair enough. There's enough evidence to suggest that. We're 18th in the league, 5 points, no wins in 8 or whatever it is. I understand that. But my point here is if you think we're in a relegation battle, then just by logic or your logic, you will also say that Bournemouth are in a title race, for example. Okay. And as I mentioned, I think on Grumpy Old Reds yesterday, a couple of weeks ago, Villa were beneath Forest with no wins or whatever it was. And now Villa are pushing back into the top half of the table. Manchester United were 1 point ahead of Forest. They're now 3 points behind second place. It's too malleable right now. Now, do I think that... Look, let me give you some positives on the Dyche scenario. Anyone coming in after Ange is going to be welcomed with open arms, okay? I'm not disputing that at all. So I think there's going to be a more positive atmosphere at, say, Porto this week and then away at Bournemouth, etc., and what have you. So that's a good thing. There will be this unification. I actually expect Forest to more likely win more matches now under Dyche in the next couple than we would have done if Ange Postecoglou was still in charge, okay? But that's just going to be an initial bounce period. And that's it. And then we're back to low block football and let's counter-attack. The difference is, and the big point to make here, is that Forest designed this squad in the summer not to be a counter-attacking team. If you look at the likes of Backward, a technical player. If you look at the likes of Hutchinson, a technical player. McAtee, a technical player. Douglas Luiz, a technical player. If you want a squad that's built for counter-attacking football, then you need to bring some pace into the summer. So no one can sit here and tell me that the reason that the squad is designed for a counter-attacking system. That's the point here. If you still had an Elanga, or God forbid, if you brought in an Adama Traore, then I understand it. But this is the point. It is different. Now, on top of that, you're going to see, ask Everton fans that you know, he has this whole thing about loyalty to players and everything like that. And exactly this, bro. You're going to see Yates starting. You're going to see Wood starting. You're going to see those type of players, the gritty players, the Sean Dyche kind of players. That's what you're going to see. And how are you going to see players develop? This is a guy who played Ashley Young at right back at the age of 37, 38 over other players because Ashley Young was his boy. Okay, this is what he does. Dyche's Burnley losing to Olympiacos, last 4 qualifying rounds, 18-19 Europa League. Maybe the Greek father wanted Dyche for that, offering him the job. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Now, what else will I say on this? I hope people are understanding my point. That this isn't about Dyche being crap or good or anything else. This is about what we were promised and what we were told. We were promised the signings in the summer. We got them. We were then promised progressive football. We saw it in the first game. And then we were promised that Forest will kick on, try and win the Europa League and what have you. And now the panic is there. And they've brought Dyche in. And on top of that, don't forget that Dyche has been calling the shots on this. Forest wanted to sign Dyche on a short-term deal. My feeling is, and this is based on no intel, but this is me reading the situation, is that Forest wanted Dyche until the summer, get rid of him there, and then bring Marco Silva in. Okay, so it almost feels like Forest wanted to say, right, let's write this season off, because factually, that's what they're doing by bringing Dyche in. Let's just get through to the end of the season, then we can bring Marco Silva in, and he can sort out all the players and make us good again. That's the thing here. But then Dyche said to them, no, I will not sign on a short-term contract. I want something more sustainable so that if you do sack me in the summer, I get my payout. Now, this is the guy who everyone keeps telling me that he would walk over broken glass to sit in the Forest dugout. So why did he want a longer-term contract? And that's the guy. And also, you would expect that if he believes in himself that much, then why not say, okay, I'll go with your short-term contract. And you know what? By the end of the season, you're going to be offering me a long-term contract, because that's what's going to happen. Because I'm that good, that I believe myself that much. So these are my annoyances with it. So Forest have caved in, and Forest have given him a 2-year deal or whatever it is. Yes, and as always, as some of you are saying in the chat, unfortunately, the news broke today about Harley Pierce and his tragic passing. We have spoken to the family and passed our condolences on, and your guys' condolences on as well. Very tragic to hear about that news. So nothing but love to Pierce, to his wife Carol, and the rest of their family as well. So, you know, let's get things into perspective here. Dyche coming in isn't going to end the world. So football isn't the be all and end all. Isn't the be all and end all. So look, that's where we are with this Dyche crap. Now people in the comments from my video yesterday are saying, so what, you're Dyche out, are you? Do you want Forest to lose and all this stuff? No. Like, I don't understand why people go to this assumption that if you aren't a manager out, you're not going to back what they're doing on the pitch. For example, if Forest were to start, let's just say in the last game, Forest started Taiwo. Okay, I was against Taiwo starting. Does that then mean by necessity that I don't want Taiwo to score in that match just because I personally wouldn't have chosen him? I don't understand why people have to be so extreme with the way they interpret things. Okay, if Taiwo scored a hat-trick against Chelsea, I'd be celebrating the loudest about it. If Dyche goes and beats Porto, I'll be shameless and celebrating it. If he goes and beats Bournemouth, then I'll be celebrating it. If he then goes beats United and he goes and beats Leeds or whoever we got after that, I'll be celebrating all of them. But do I want Dyche to be the long-term manager of Forest? No. Now, if you can guarantee me that come what may, whatever Dyche does, that in the summer he goes and we get Marco Silva in, then fine. Fine, let's write this season off, even though we're only 8 games into it, which is absolutely crazy. But let's write it off. Let's write it off. It's just crazy that 8 games into a season, we are writing things off. Exactly. So, yeah, I don't want Dyche, but for a score, I can't celebrate. It's absolutely crazy. How can you call anyone extreme? Your views are always extreme. Ave, what have I said in this stream that has been extreme? I'll wait for you. No, that's not right, Jim. They have good relations. I'm looking forward to seeing Wone and Stone in the dugout. Yeah, I like that. I get the sentiment behind it. But again, I'll ask, on Wone and Stone's track record of being under Dyche, what have they achieved? Now, the questions need to be asked. No, we can't find Marinakis. I still love the Greek father. Now, the questions need to be asked about Edu and George Sirianos as well now, because apparently they were the two that were tasked with the job of finding a manager. How the hell do you end up with just Sean Dyche on your manager list and a Marco Silva who you know about with his, with his release fee clause, and Mancini, who hasn't managed for ages? So I'm fully turned on Edu in this one move. And Edu can do one as far as I'm concerned. I was very happy with the transfer window that he put together in the summer. I'm extremely annoyed with what he's done since then. Now, I think Postecoglou was a Marinakis thing. I don't know how much Edu was involved in that. Again, I'm just guessing. But I'm sorry, Edu has been named and shamed, him and George, as the ones who have gone after Sean Dyche. Now, Edu is meant to have this massive black book of names and things like that and everything, and all he could come up with was Sean Dyche. This is the guy who mailed his CV into Forest about 10 years ago. It's not like Edu had to really earn his crust to go and appoint a Sean Dyche. So look, it's not officially been announced by the club. Maybe I can believe in a miracle and something collapses or what have you, but it looks like it's going to be Sean Dyche. Big up to Curtis. He says goodbye to Murillo, Douglas Luiz, and Gibbs White in January. Yeah, Gibbs White's definitely playing under Dyche. Like, can you just imagine the likes of Douglas Luiz, the ones you just said there, Murillo, they're looking around. That's what's going to inspire us. Let's go play some low block football. Let's see if we can get some set pieces or score from set pieces. I mean, look, the positives of this, right? Let me try and be objectively positive of this. 55% of you are happy with the appointment of Sean Dyche. 45% of you are not. 68% of you think that we are indeed in a relegation battle. And 32% of you do not. Shout out to the 32%. We got nearly 1,000 in here. Shout out to all you guys. We got 138 likes though. Can we please sort that out? I hope I'm making sense. Look, and I will say it again. I am not sitting here saying I'm right. You know what? Sean Dyche might surprise me. He might play attacking football, turn backward into the beast we know he is, get a tune out of Hutchinson and McAtee, and even fix Gibbs White. Cool. That is my dream scenario. I'm just saying to you, I have to make my judgment on my perception of what I've seen on Sean Dyche and what I expect of him, and his track record is long and very similar. So, yeah, I'll get behind him. This isn't my fault, and this is your fault. You're the one who was head of the Ange Out campaign. So this is my perception of it, okay? And does that mean that I won't be celebrating Forest scores? Of course not. He can't do worse, can he? Well, yeah, he could. He could go and lose his next 10 games. Because, bad boy, the problem with this now is that if he does start crap, there is a huge reluctance. There will be an impossibility of him being sacked. Kev's saying there's no positives to take from this. Look, the positives are, if you're looking for short-termism, then yes, there is positives. Forest won't be in a relegation battle, but I still stand by this. Forest wouldn't be in a relegation battle even if you brought in Gareth Southgate. Okay, so I don't have to sit here and say I accept Sean Dyche as, you know, my my leader, my supreme leader. I don't have to. You know what? How about this? Sean Dyche needs to prove to me and to you guys that he is worthy of the role, not the other way around. How long's the contract? It's a 2-year deal till the end of 2027. I bet we beat Porto. We have more chance of beating Porto now than we did 2 days ago. Okay, so I agree with that. I agree with that. We watched Cooper Ball, and this is it, side. This is just flashbacks to Cooper Ball, man. And Cooper was probably a better manager than Sean Dyche, in my opinion. So be prepared to hear all the PR spin, because I'll tell you one thing for sure. The club know what the fans have been saying. They know that the fans were getting annoyed with Postecoglou for talking about me, and Spurs. So what you're going to hear is how Sean Dyche loves Nottingham. He gets the city. He loves the history. You know, he goes into games, game in, week out, and all of this. Oh, and by the way, he's not a Forest fan. He's a Liverpool fan. So let's see if he tries to spin he's a Forest fan on top of all of that. It doesn't matter who he supports, by the way. I just don't know why that narrative is being pushed. So let's see what he says and does, but expect all the usual stuff about the history. James, exactly. And we're just about to go back to that era. But he does the Wolfie. Owen, I don't care, man. I don't care. Would Pep Guardiola get the City? No. Would Pep Guardiola win games? Yes. Any MG what? What do you say, Simon? Any manager is going to say that, Wolfie. Yeah, no. What I'm saying, Simon, is it will be pushed heavier because of the backlash from Postecoglou not saying it. Not saying it. Are you on drugs, Wolfie? Beat Porto? Maybe, Kev. Maybe. I don't know. And I you know what? At this stage, I don't really care. If we get through the qualifiers of the Europa, cool. At the start of the season, I fully expected us to potentially win it. Right now, give me a year's membership if I'm correct. My prediction is unbeaten in the next 4. Cool. So 4 draws coming in. I just feel like this is what I don't think I'm making clear to you guys in what I'm saying, right? Going into the first match of the season. No, in fact, let's say this. After the first match of the season, I'm talking Brentford here. And be honest in the chat. We schooled Brentford. We destroyed them in the first half. After that match, would any of you have said that 2 months down the road, you would have taken Sean Dyche? And be honest. Be honest. After that Brentford game, 3-1 or 3-0, whatever it finished, how many of you in here would have been like, you know what this club needs is Sean Dyche in charge. With all the players we've brought in, with everything else, Sean Dyche is the right man to lead this forward into what we want to achieve. See, okay, good to see some of you being, no, yeah, okay, good. Thank you for the honesty. So why allow standards to drop this heavily in the space of 8 weeks is my question. When that same team and same squad that played against Brentford, that finished 7th last year in the league, are all still the same players and same squads, minus, say, Elanga. That's my point here. This team is not a bottom half team. Nowhere near being a bottom half team. Big up to Wayne with the £3. Much love, bro. Appreciate it. And the thing is, I could have come on here, okay, and appeased the masses and been like, oh yeah, you know what? Sean Dyche, his track record is this. He gets the city, he gets the club, he goes to games. I'm fully behind him. But I don't care if I upset people with what I'm saying. I'm just saying how I feel about it. I always do. That's it. I'm sure other people will push the narrative of gets the city, Ian Woan, Stone, and all this stuff. But I'm looking at it holistically. And don't misinterpret me, because he will win games. He will win games. Forest will not achieve what the expectations were of Forest to achieve 8 weeks ago. Forest's expectations are in the mud right now. Can't be no worse than Ange. Yeah, but David, Ange was the mistake that was made. They got rid of it, corrected it quickly, but then this has been another mistake. It's not even mistake's probably too strong a word. This is a change in the objections of what Forest are meant to be achieving. I know you get me, Si. Big up to you, Simon F. So that's what it is. Brexit FC in Europe. Yeah, it's just like, put your faith in Sean, please. Okay, why do I need to? Surely, is it not the right stance to sit here and say, I am not convinced by Sean Dyche, but I am happy to be convinced by Sean Dyche? Yeah, I know, Simon, on the preseason, but everyone told me preseasons don't count and preseasons don't matter. That's what everyone told me. So is it not the right stance to say here, whether or not you're Dyche in or out, or no, let's not say in or out, but wanted Dyche or didn't want Dyche, should whatever part of the spectrum on that you're on, should you not be sitting here saying, even if I wanted Dyche, he's my first choice, he still has to come in and prove to me or to you that he is worthy of this job? Yeah, okay, this is my point here, Off-World. He's perfect for keeping us up. So you're saying we're in a relegation battle, right? If this is look, Ez said this eloquently the other day. If we're in January or February in this position, I'm knocking on Sean Dyche's door myself on my knees saying, come save us. Come save us. But we're not in January. We're not in February. We're in October. We're in October. And this is what's happening. So this is my point. He's the right man for a right situation, but this situation doesn't demand Sean Dyche in yet. You're saying you're in a relegation battle. Okay, Skepta. So Bournemouth are your favourites to win the title then, because they're in a title race, yeah? Some things are bigger than football. Rip Harley, says Jamie. Absolutely 100%. He is the best we can get mid-season. I disagree. You could go and look. You could go and get an up and. Why are we not looking at up and coming managers? So when Palace, when Bournemouth signed, say, Glasner or Iriola, were they the best they could get, or had they done their research and seen their style of football, seen the potential in them? I'm quite happy. I think Forest, if we weren't going to get Silva, should have been looking at an up-and-coming manager, a manager who's like shaking up. Maybe you could have looked like Michael Carrick, for example, as an option, you know? Wolfie, I've got to speak my mind. Stop using the Bournemouth narrative when you said we was in a title race last season and we wasn't. We were in a title race in January, bro. And then we crapped the bed. So this is what I'm saying. So I would have preferred an up-and-coming manager in a season where Forest aren't going to get relegated. It is what it is. It's easier to get relegated than to win the title. That's deep, Simon. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you on that. I didn't want Dyche, but this gives us time now to do some proper research for the end of the season. Why haven't they done it before, Red Dog, is my question. Why haven't they done it before? That's the thing I don't understand, bro. That's the thing I don't understand. This is not the time for up-and-coming managers. The club is absolute freefall right now. Okay, when is the right time for up-and-coming managers? When is the right time for up-and-coming managers? No, that's not true. Go and watch the live video I did as Ange was appointed and look at me nearly in tears. I'm saying as a counter to your Bournemouth example. No, because Bournemouth were in this. When did they get Iriola? The season after they finished. Where did they finish after the first season? I think it was 16th or 15th. Then they got rid of Gary O'Neill, and they all got told they shouldn't have got rid of Gary O'Neill. Then they brought in Iriola, and he didn't win for their first 7 games. I think Sean Dyche actually beat them 3-0. So that is my positive from this, is Sean Dyche beat Bournemouth 3-0. So maybe we can beat Bournemouth finally. And says, I'm so disappointed in Mr. Marinakis and devastated that we have written the season off after 8 league games and 2 Euro games. This is an unmitigated disaster. You know what, and you've put what I've been trying to say so eloquently. And I'm glad someone gets what I'm saying. Gary O'Neill's available too. Let me just play this out in your minds. Okay. West Ham sacked David Moyes because, and this is David Moyes who won them their first European trophy in the Conference League. They sacked him because they thought his football and his style was so dire that they couldn't stand it. Okay? Now, that man that they sacked is the man who replaced this man at Everton, and all Evertonians will tell you that his football is a breath of fresh air in comparison to Dyche. Does that kind of logic make sense? Now, somebody said, well, be careful what you wish for at West Ham because, you know, look where they are now, etc., etc. But just understand the logic that I am saying. Moyes' football made, Dyche's football made Moyes' football look exquisite. Wewen says, confirm relegation. What's wrong with Marinakis? I don't know. Thank you, though, for the 17th, bro. Thank you for the 17. Sorry. Danish Corona, I believe that is. It ain't a disaster. Yeah, again, I'm not sitting here saying Forest are getting relegated under Dyche. I don't think even under Ange, Forest could get relegated. Okay, the squad is too good for that. That's the point I'm making here. My point is, Forest are rekindling and reclining. Oh crap! What have I just pressed? On their expectations and objectives 8 weeks into it. I get it if you want to change your objectives 6 months into the thing, but this is 8 weeks into it. Curtis with the $5 says, love all these loser/defeatist mentality arguments, no belief in our players and fear from 2 decades in the championship, secondhand embarrassment. Curtis coming out and just spitting the lines cold, man. Shout out to you for the $5. How does this group respond to Dyche is what I want to know. Yeah, look, and again, I will say it, that this group of players is getting away with murder. Absolute murder. So that's what's going on there. Complete and utter murder. Anyway, once it's officially confirmed, we will let you know, but everything is pointing to say it is done. I'll see if I can get the boys together at about 7 o'clock for a Grumpy Old Reds to kind of talk this one through and see what they've got to say. Right, I've got to jump on to Never a Foul literally now. Are they live now? Because Cass was running late. So let's just have a quick look. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to send you guys there and I'll be live over there in a minute. But yeah, let's see what happens, and we'll be back later on, hopefully for a Grumpy Old Reds. So make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you've subscribed. We're only on 215 likes, guys. Just takes a second to hit that like button, so please do. I'll see you over on Never a Foul in a sec. Come on, you Reds.